Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about?
Hey, ladies.
How are ya?
Good. How are you
How are
guys
you?
doing?
I think she might be on mute.
You muted.
I'm sorry. How are you all this evening? It's good to see
Doing
you.
good.
Good to see you. Listen, it is Kitchen Talk CTC. Kim, you got it?
Conversations that cook.
Yes. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. So it looks like it just might be the ladies, but you know what? I think we can handle it. We can,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah, we make it do what it do. So super excited. I had declared April the month of talking about things that we're not talking about anymore, right? And so as I was thinking, I was like, something that we really not kind of talking about no more is COVID. Like it ain't on everybody's radar no more. What is that about?
We done got comfortable.
Comfortable. So I'm like, okay, we got to talk about COVID. So let's see what we doing. Let's see what we gonna do. So I text Miss Tatum. I was like, can you come on the show? She was like, yeah. And then she texted me back. She say, one day we're not gonna have to talk about it. She didn't know when that was, and I thought that was such a great improvement from when we got started. It was like, no, we always gonna have to talk about it. So I'm like, okay, I see some progress, but we're not there yet. Obviously, we're not there yet. So, what we looking like?
Well, we're getting closer. I mean, we heard from Dr. Fauci yesterday and Dr. Ashish Jha, who the president has put in charge of kind of the COVID task force. And both of them have said we're entering a new phase and tail end of the pandemic, but COVID's still here. We're still getting some cases, but not just the massive numbers of cases that we were seeing for a while. Yeah. So, yeah. So
what do they mean about new phase?
What they're saying is that we still have people that are getting COVID. But I mean, like from my perspective, I'm not seeing 4,000 people a day coming to get tested. Okay. We're seeing a couple of hundred. That is manageable. That we can so we are seeing some increases in the number of positive cases from where we were 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. Because we are seeing that new variant of Omicron spreading more in Florida. But I don't think we're going to see the massive number of cases that we saw in January or even the big spike that we had last summer. So, fingers crossed. I hope this continues to kind of wind down a little bit. So
that is for us here in Florida, but there are schools up north, New York, Vermont, that
the
are
colder states
down. Exams, something about finals going remote and all of that because of COVID cases.
Yeah, they're seeing some increasing cases, but it's not like it was before. They aren't the numbers of cases that they saw in January. And I think they're trying to figure out what the right balance is. What do you know? The first thing we saw were they put the mask mandates back in, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it makes sense. You know, if we know something's circulating in the air and there's an increase in numbers of infections, okay, let's go ahead and put the mask back on for a little while. But I don't think there'll be the big shutdowns that we saw before. You won't see that.
Okay.
Moving exams and classes online, that's kind of an easy thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we're seeing a little bit of a spike, and that's an easy way to, you know, keep the numbers of cases down and keep people from interacting. That's fairly easy way to manage that.
So
So
if
we
you
can do that
start,
here in
if they,
Florida, but
so pretty much they start seeing something and they like kind of trying to head it off at the pass.
Okay.
yes, because you don't want to see the massive numbers that we saw
New
before.
York definitely does not want to see those numbers again.
Nope, nope, not at all. New York, DC, anywhere.
I have a question. Let's talk about what is this new saying, the long term COVID effect,
Long COVID.
Mhm,
long COVID. Um,
mhm,
I think I could be a witness to that. I had COVID, so I have been experiencing. I'm more winded now than I have ever been since
mhm.
COVID.
And those could be lingering issues because of that infection. It could be. Um, One of the things that they are looking at, and that's, I think one of the challenges we had was that this was a virus that we hadn't seen before in humans. So we didn't really, and still honestly don't know everything it's done, and how it's affected the body. Every time I turn around, we're learning something new. We're learning that there's certainly, the virus affects different organ systems. It's not just a respiratory infection. So we have people with cardiac issues, and we have people that had kidney failure. And so there were just a number of things that we've learned and are continuing to learn about it. But I think the most recent information I've heard about long COVID is that, one, yes, it does happen. And even people that had mild cases can still have ongoing symptoms further down the road. And that they have found that getting vaccinated sometimes helps mediate some of those symptoms from long COVID.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
we're going to be 10 years down the road and we're still going to
And
find out
still
something
learning
new
stuff.
Hmm.
that this did.
I think
So
we're guinea pigs.
if you're, I know, right? That's
Feel like
kind
a
of
guinea
how
pig.
I felt about this whole thing. So if you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated means you have both the shots. Hey,
Right
Kelsey.
now,
Ah, she
hey,
always infiltrate my space. See, this is how COVID is transmitted.
The live love me. Everyone on the live loves me.
Okay, I'm on my podcast.
Okay, bye podcast.
Teenagers.
I love it. I love it.
you're great.
Um, so fully vaccinated is if you got the one with the two shots, you have both shots
Right
and
now,
the
that's what
booster,
it
or
means.
just both shots, or the one shot from Johnson and Johnson. That is considered fully vaccinated.
Right now, that's what the CDC has as being fully vaccinated. They haven't made any changes to that yet.
Okay. So if you got the booster,
Mhm.
then that's even better.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what is this about another booster?
We're trying to get a
Well,
series
Y'all
going.
ain't gonna be shooting me every three,
Listen,
4 months.
listen. It's a series going, like measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, DPT, yeah, all that.
well, if you think about it, most of our vaccines that we have for viral illnesses are multiple doses. Hepatitis B, you got to get 3 shots, over a 6 month period. I mean, that's, you know, kind of how that works. However, like I said, remember, this was a new virus. We just encountered it, but there's a big study right now going on in a group out of I forget, one of the universities is working on coming up with a vaccination recommendations for COVID. Because what they don't want to do is they don't want to keep coming up every 4 months and saying, "Oh, you got to get another booster. Oh, you got to get another booster." So they want to come up with what that protocol, what that regimen should be, and make those recommendations.
Mm. Welcome, welcome, Mr. Marvin, Dr. Marvin Scott.
Hey,
Wait,
cuz.
what's going on? Sometimes somebody got to be on CP time.
Hey, cuz. Oh, you're a little late today.
I had to represent for the culture.
You know, it's always one. It's always one.
At least you
Hey,
came.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good thing about this platform is, hey, you know, some people do come late to the kitchen to eat, whatever, but it's still plenty to go around. So
yeah, I just wanted to make sure the food was done before I got there.
See there?
We're glad you're here at the table.
absolutely, absolutely. So, here's another question. I know we are still learning about COVID, still learning about how it affects whoever it's going to affect because, we don't know. First, it was the most vulnerable, and those aren't really the people that are falling prey to
Mm-mm.
long COVID or the long term effects. It's the healthy that I hear about. It's the basketball players that end up, having heart attacks and things like that. These are the healthy people. So we know that medically we're going to continue to learn about COVID. But what have we learned from a medical standpoint about how or process and procedures to kind of keep this thing from or another one like in another 100 years or another 50 years or whatever it is, have we learned enough not to be in this panic mode that we were in with this one?
No, it's going to be a whole new different group of people.
Thing of it is we really got politics messed up in a lot of this, and it really
See?
wasn't a public health response. I mean, it started with that, but that's why I think our progress with this has been very uneven.
Mm.
And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we got rid of the COVID plans, we got rid of the pandemic committee, and then we got a pandemic, and so nobody knew what to do. So they put it back in place again. Who knows, what'll happen in another 20 years and who's in office or, I would like to think that we've learned to try to keep some of the politics out of public health practices, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing from the standpoint of unless our politics change, we won't be ready for another pandemic.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, individuals were using the pandemic for their own political gain. Whether it was to say, "Hey, don't get vaccinated," it's your right, to stir up that group. So hey, vote for me because I'm for your rights, whatever. So unless our politics change and the way we look at things change, I think we're going to always have individuals in today's politics, in today's society, who are going to try to use every side of it for their gain. So until we fix that,
We're just at the mercy, huh?
well, think about this, right? If everyone would have got vaccinated, if we would have got enough people vaccinated from the beginning, we have to ask ourselves the question: would we have been struggling with COVID as far as the consistent outbreaks this long?
I don't think so.
Again, because we were working towards herd immunity, right? But when politics is in place and you have people in positions of power and influential people telling them don't get vaccinated or you shouldn't get vaccinated, and then we have all this not misinformation but disinformation out there, that's purposely trying to get people not to get vaccinated, you know. um
Mm-hmm.
and then everything you do fight against wearing masks, so you stir up that base to where now no one wants to wear a mask. Well, they don't
Mm,
help, all those different things. So I feel like if politically we're in a different place, then we could have handled this differently. Would we have had the same number of deaths? No. Would people still would have died? Yes. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you're looking at, difference in percentages would be significant. So until we change as a society on 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 overall what do we want to look like as a United States of America, until we change that, we're gonna always have that.
mm,
I think also, I mean, you just look at where we are. The difference in the politics in the different regions. There are 26% more deaths in the South
mm.
due to COVID than there were in the North and the Northeast. 26%. That's a
Wow,
whole lot of people that
that's a lot.
died just because of our politics that really influenced our response to COVID. And you can't say people in the South were at higher risk than the people in the North. That doesn't hold any water. It was, that political response that shaped, what that public health, what the public health activities were. You know, we've gotten rid of, we opened up for Florida, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, Florida's open for business. Nope, no mask. No, we're not having any requirements. Nobody's got to get vaccinated. You don't have to test. But, you know, and that's not to say that the shutdown didn't have some serious consequences. I mean, it really did. I think it was necessary at the time to really try to get a handle on it. Specifically because we had no treatments at the time. When this started, we could test, but we didn't have any treatments. We didn't know what to do with people. But we didn't have to have that total backlash against it. Since I didn't like having to stay home for, 3 weeks or a month, now you can't tell me what to do at all about anything. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that stay at home.
I
I
don't
didn't.
think
get to stay
nobody
home.
did, but look, even because I hated it. I found
I
other
mean,
ways
I
to keep
did
myself busy. Yeah,
I
but
think
I think it helped more than it in the masses with
Mhm.
the deaths staying at home. I believe that helped because you have some. It's been some real unruly people like don't care. Literally know they have it, knowing they're spreading, and they don't care about the next person. And to me, for Florida, we opened up too quick,
yeah.
and everybody started running to Florida.
Well, I
And
think it's interesting that even now, even though Miss Tatum is saying, "Oh, I see a little light at the end of the tunnel," I'm cool with that. Yeah, okay. But it, I walk around here and it looks like people are acting as if COVID never
Yeah.
happened.
yeah,
Right.
Like I
well,
still wear my mask in the grocery store. I still wear my mask in public places. I still wear my mask at church. But folks are walking around like
Mhm.
coronavirus, like we never heard of that name. And they
That's
look at me like, what's wrong with you? And I'm looking at them like, what's wrong with you?
you know.
It's like business as usual. And I'm
Mhm.
like, y'all not worried, y'all not concerned, y'all.
I just think we got lax because I'm one of those people. Sometimes I have to catch myself. We got lax. We've
well,
gotten lax
but
because
yeah,
we're Go ahead,
yeah.
Mr. Scott.
I was just gonna say too. I think too. I mean, I know for me, I do my best to do as the CDC says. When they said, okay, wear a mask, I wore a mask. I got vaccinated. I have a booster. You follow what I'm saying? So if they're saying
Mhm.
I'm vaccinated and I have a booster and I don't have to wear a mask, then you know, I don't feel as apprehensive as okay when COVID first hit because I've done everything that I'm supposed to do and I'm following the science and not only that I'm just believing that hey I'm gonna be good either way, you know because I have my faith. Um, but I think again, it all starts from the top down, and I'm talking about from government to
Mhm.
family
Yeah.
you know, because I don't care what the governor says. If the head of your family handled in certain things a certain way, then everyone in that house will do what will line up.
Yep.
Mhm.
But when you have leaders of households that are gullible and will follow and do whatever someone says without knowledge, then everyone else is going to do what? Follow along. So
Mhm.
I just feel like, again, like Ms. Tatum said before, it's too much politics when it comes to health and our and your life. You know what I mean? It's too much politics involved. There's several places politics shouldn't be. Politics should never be in the hospital or in the health area,
Right.
and it should never be in the courtroom. You know what I mean? But we
Mhm.
see politics seeping in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we have to be careful of. And so we have to use platforms like this to bring awareness so that we can do our best to push politics out of it. The governor should never use that as a weapon to try to penalize people who are enforcing measures to keep kids safe. If they're
Yeah.
trying to say you wear a mask and they should wear a mask in school to keep kids safe, then I don't care if a parent says, "Well, I don't like my child wearing a mask." I don't care. It's about the
The
masses.
overall, right.
It's
Mhm.
about everybody, not just your child. If you feel that strongly about it, you have the option to do what? Opt your child out of school. But it
Mhm.
shouldn't be you had an option to take your child to school and put everybody else at risk.
And yeah, at risk.
You know what I mean? But we do that because we put politics in the place of health. And so politics should never be in health. I don't ever want a doctor to decide whether or not he's going to help a patient not based on the political environment, you know. And that's where we are.
In a whole lot of ways, you're right. So Lisa, I know I've been really, really conscious about wearing the mask and everything else. And I wasn't fortunate to be able to stay home when everything
Oh,
shut down.
No,
I,
you are not.
I'm
no,
out in the
you
middle
were
of
not.
consistency, but I still wear my mask consistently all the time. But I know other people are making different decisions, and they can, like Dr. Scott said, he's done what he's supposed to do, and he's got vaccinated and boosted and everything, and the virus has changed quite a bit since we started. What we're seeing are that the variants that are circulating right now aren't causing as severe disease. And we also have some pretty effective treatments now. So that's not to say it's the same as getting the flu, because it still has a much kind of higher death rate so far, but it's we're getting closer to that point where it's a little more manageable. So I don't, yeah, people look at me crazy when I'm in the grocery store. I stopped at Publix on my way here and on my way home, and I'm like, okay, am I the only one in here? But there were a couple other people, but
Yeah, sometimes
you know,
sometimes I'm the only one. Like,
I have to do what's right for me,
Yeah.
and I know I'm
Yes.
vaccinated, I'm boosted. I have two autoimmune disorders. So my risk, if I
Are
get it,
great.
are much higher than somebody else's. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I know has worked for me all along because
mm,
I'm not ready to let that go yet.
Yeah.
maybe in another 6 months, maybe, I don't know, but
Is that
you
a
know,
hint?
this is it.
And it's so odd because I hated wearing the mask. I'm like, I'm so tired of this freaking mask. I remember our conversations about this mask, but now it's like, wait a minute. Mm, I don't know y'all. So, and I don't know where y'all been, and I don't know who y'all been around.
Mhm.
And I did have COVID. It didn't do me bad, but I don't know if I want to try it again.
I promise you, I don't. Mm.
But you know what, Lisa? You know what it sounds like? You are what we call a lagging adapter, right? You will adapt and conform, but you don't want to do it immediately.
That's
Um,
me.
And
Well,
and
me
now
and her
that
are alike.
you've conformed, now that everyone says, okay, you can go back, you're like, now I'll change, but not right now.
well, I guess so. I guess so. I guess
Well,
it's
it's
just
okay.
it's the I guess maybe I'm understanding more. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not like the mask.
But you
I
wear it,
wore the mask.
yeah.
I did not kick against not wearing it. Trust me, I wore the
Yeah.
mask. I didn't like it. I still don't like it, but I get it. You
Mhm.
know, I get why, and I get the protection, and I got it then. I just had to complain about it because you know,
Because that's the right thing to do.
right, right.
But you know what? That's perfect because it's real.
Yeah.
It's like this is where you are, and there are other people that are in the same place you are. At some point, I might I'll get to a point where it'll be okay, and I'll say, as long as I got my test kit at home, and I know I can call the doctor, and he's going to be able to prescribe the new medication, Paxlovid or whatever they call it. Okay, I might be able to take that risk. I can't right now. You
Right.
know, I'm just
So
not
the
there yet for
medications
me personally.
are so there are medications now that treat COVID
Hmm.
Yes. Hmm.
Remdesivir, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah.
and treat
There are
it
a number of
in
things
what
around.
way? Like keep you from having really bad reaction to it, or what does that mean to treat COVID?
They're supposed to reduce the symptoms, hopefully keep it from getting more severe. I
Okay.
mean, because you don't get it until you already have it, but it's important to identify that you have COVID as soon as possible because the medication works best if you take it early. Like if you are exposed, come down with COVID, and you say, "Oh, I'll go to the doctor in a day or two." After 5 days, it's not going to do a whole lot of good, and they probably aren't even going to prescribe it for you at that point. They want to make
Mm,
sure you start it as soon as possible. And they do the same when you go and when you get the flu. And we're prescribing the antiviral medications for people with the flu. It's like we'll start it within the first 5 days of you becoming symptomatic. After that, it's kind of like not worth giving it to you.
mhm.
Right.
So I know we say that COVID is not the flu, but
Yeah.
did we feel that way about the flu when it first hit? Because wasn't the flu like the big pandemic?
Oh yeah, it was. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
it it'll progress, and the virus changes, and at some point, COVID's going to be like the flu. It'll be the new flu or the flu of 2000 or whatever. But
Flu too.
yeah, right now we still have a pretty high death rate, from COVID. So we're not in the same place just yet. But in a year or two, it'll probably be handled exactly the same way, more than
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah. I mean, think about this, right? So, cardiovascular disease has been the number one killer, number one cause of death in America. Oh,
Hmm.
man, every year
Yeah.
except for influenza breakout and now uh, COVID.
Mhm.
So when you look at it, when the flu, when the flu pandemic, happened, yeah, it was something that caught everybody off guard, and you trying to scramble, trying to figure out how to treat it, what to do. so forth and so on. It's just with technology now, we're able to respond a lot faster, you know. And from past experience, we knew what to do. It's just now having the people in position in place to do it, you
Mhm.
know. I mean, think about it. The virus is self-limiting in the sense of if you go so many days, you no longer, can
Mhm.
spread the virus, right? So we knew that if we can get everybody to stay home, I mean, think about it. If we got everybody to stay home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whoever had the virus, by the time they came out after that point, guess what? They don't have it. So now, all it would have been now is controlling who's coming into the country and making
Mhm.
sure those individuals are COVID free. Because if everybody in your house stays home for 2, 3 weeks, when you come out, guess what? If you had it, you don't have it anymore. You're not able
Mhm.
to transmit it. So no one around you can get it from you. The problem is when it hit, we knew what to do, but no one wanted to do it because of the political and financial implications. You know,
Mm,
that means we got to shut down businesses. Businesses are not making money, so forth and so on. So, we don't want to shut down because of businesses, yet we give the people unemployment, so they stay home. The businesses don't work. Now we want people to come back to work. They don't want to go back to work. So, hey, you didn't hear that from me because I ain't one to gossip.
it has really been like this really crazy thing to live through something like this, to live through a
Mhm.
pandemic. So none of us obviously have lived through a pandemic until now.
Correct.
Mhm.
And what we think as logical, everybody else might not be thinking that same way. So I guess, and I guess what I really wonder is, will this happen to us again? And how prepared, I think I might have asked that already, but how prepared would we be, even from medical, from uh financial, from just the whole standpoint of it.
Yeah. I think one of the things we can do is
Hey,
um, is look at countries that had the lowest number of death rate, the lowest rate of outbreak, right?
girl.
And we look at those countries, and what we'll find is those countries also had the most individuals who were compliant to what was required of them to do
Hmm.
in order to prevent the spread of the virus. So when we have individuals and we talk about mass populations of people who don't want to comply with what's recommended in order to prevent the spread of the virus, then we're not going to get in control, and we're going to have what we saw, and we'll have it again. You
Mm.
know, and it'll get to a place where we don't talk about it, but people are still dying. You know what I mean? We don't talk about COVID the same as we used to when it was. Oh, remember they was showing the deaths every
Every
day,
day,
every
every day,
day.
every hour on the hour almost. We was
Yeah,
talking about, y'all. I'm cooking too, so I
and
gotta
we,
move.
Ah, good.
I
yeah,
know, right? Ain't heard that in a minute, have you, Marvin?
So,
In the kitchen.
so one of the things that's interesting is we're not hearing about it because nobody's talking about it. The states, look, Florida stopped reporting deaths way early, and then they
mhm,
Right.
hit some of them.
right.
And they were reporting to the state and to the feds every day. Then it was like, oh, we're only going to report once a week. Then it was, well, we're only going to report our data every 2 weeks. Yeah,
Mhm,
so you're not, nobody knows.
right.
But I think what's going to really shock people later on is when it's not so immediate, and we can take a step back and look at it. And this pandemic has killed almost 1 million people in the United States. Over 990,000 people have died from COVID. That is an inconceivable number in the day of modern medicine. Okay.
Right.
It didn't have to happen. And while, it was new, it was novel, it really didn't have to be as bad. There's so many countries across the world that didn't have the advantages and the technology and everything else that we had that did a whole lot better. But, we believe in individual rights, and yeah, that
And
trumped
we do
everything.
believe in individual rights, but come on,
Yeah.
y'all. You
But
know,
again, but Lisa, this is the thing, individual rights, right? But I think
Mhm.
we talked about this before. Every individual has the right to drive a car. We
Right.
talked about that before. But you know, you don't have the individual right to drive recklessly and put
Mhm.
other
true.
individuals at
And they,
risk.
yeah,
Yeah.
So your individual right does not give you the right to put others at risk.
Chris.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. You can't think about this. If you drive recklessly, the police will
Mhm.
pull you over. You could be going within the speed limit, but if you're zipping in and out, cutting right in front of cars, the police could pull you over, give you a
Mhm.
ticket for what? Reckless
Reckless
driving.
driving. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mhm.
now you're endangering others. you
Mm-hmm.
know and so if a person knowingly has HIV, and and they know they have it, and they contact others, they can get arrested.
Mhm.
That is a crime. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, so
Rose right. He said it takes
Right.
leadership. and,
that's why
and
I
we
started
didn't have
laughing.
it. You're right. We didn't have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
the
Yeah.
lack
it's
of
really
leadership.
unfortunate.
And
Yeah,
still don't. Yeah.
Like 20 years from now, I'm curious as to how the conversations are going to go and what
yeah,
kind of plans they're going to put in place for the next pandemic, because there's going to be another one, you
And
know?
that's my thing. Like what are we doing? So if I plan on living till I'm 120. So we could have another one before I leave here, right?
it's fun.
So, am I gonna be the lone ranger on top of the hill saying, "Get your butt inside the house"?
No, you're going to have your mask in the drawer.
Yeah, I might as
You're
well
gonna pull
just
my-
keep it, right?
I've always said when I die, my nieces and nephews are going to go, oh, those are those things Auntie Tanya used to wear. Yeah. Yeah.
And the ones we had special made. Oh, look!
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
It is gonna be very interesting. It is gonna be very interesting what this is gonna look like in those years, because even the folks that are 100 now, they were just being born, so they don't even know what went on.
Right, right. But the thing is now we've we've laid the foundation for rebellion.
Mm,
Mhm.
So when the next pandemic hits, because I mean, you know, don't know when, but there's something else out there. Um, but we've laid the foundation for individuals to say, I don't have to do this.
yeah.
I know what they're saying, but I don't have to do this. It's like getting on the airplane, right? And
Mhm.
you have to wear a mask. You agree that when you get on the airplane, you're going to wear a mask. But undoubtedly, you have individuals who said they acknowledge and they'll wear a mask, and then got on the airplane and said, okay, now I'm not going to wear a mask
Hmm.
because I don't have to. Again, where did that come from? That didn't come from them just saying, hey, um, you know, I don't believe in COVID today. That's been fed to them from the standpoint of you don't have to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and you think about this, you know, and certain groups perpetuate that more than other groups because some groups we were taught to follow the rules so that we won't attract undue attention to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, if that's what they say do, we're gonna do it because I just don't want no undue attention, you know. And we, you know, my skin color, you know, attracts attention
Mm-hmm.
already, you know. But then you have some groups who feel like, well, I don't have to do this and I can do whatever, you know, I want to do. And now, even though they say, okay, I'm going to wear a mask on the plane, when they get on the plane, they feel like, okay, hey, I don't have to wear a mask. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have individuals who see that on a routine basis, say, hey, you know what? I can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so what we learned through this COVID pandemic is no matter what, we can do what we want to do. It's about our rights. It's not about how it affect others around us.
Mm-hmm.
Not about it. We put others in danger. It's about guess what? It's about what we want to do.
It's so crazy.
Well,
It's
hey,
so crazy.
only in America.
Only absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Only in America. Oh, this has been one of the um well, really, I mean, it's one of the most challenging things that I think I've faced as
Mm-hmm.
far as, how to keep myself safe, how to keep my,
Mm-hmm.
family and loved ones safe. Y'all know I kicked against the vaccine for a minute. I just wasn't ready. I just like we didn't know enough. But on the other side of it, I felt like it pushed us to learn more. Like we learned more.
Mm-hmm.
We learned how far we have not come. We learned the things that we still need to improve on. We learned some new things, some resilience that we may not have known that we had. We learned to have to still how to still have some some type of life,
Mm-hmm.
some type of connection. Because for my generation, for our generation, connection is we in the house together playing cards, having a good time. So
Mm-hmm.
us learning more of the social media, learning more of the Zooms, learning more of that to kind
Mm-hmm.
of still, stay and feel
Mm-hmm.
connected to each other.
Yeah.
So I think it was some good that came out of it as well. So it wasn't like all bad. Um,
No.
so some
Mm-hmm.
of the things that even with our churches that we were, thinking about or talking about, because we were talking about, what, we need to do a stream, whatever, or let's figure out what that looked like. How do we stream our services? And then it was like you talk about it, 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 and then here comes this thing that forces you to do it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, that sort of thing. So I mean, it was again, definitely the loss of life is terrible.
You're right.
It is absolutely terrible. But what, and I know this is more of a philosophical question than it is. What about us had to make this come about for us to make some changes or for us to recognize some things?
Well, you say make some changes. What changes have we made?
I mean,
I mean, again, you got several people who have fought against it the whole time, the whole way.
yeah,
You
true.
know, so what changes have we made except for we've been more obstinate?
I mean,
You
well,
know?
I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, technology.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
think about this. So I know when I was in the College of Pharmacy and at FAM, one of the things was it was a push on campus to create more online courses or
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
more hybrid courses,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't just a thing at Florida A&M. That's a thing, in the state university system as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Create more hybrid or online courses. So one thing that came out of it was those classes where we were trying to figure out can we do it or not. Guess what? We had no choice.
Right.
You had to do it, and so we were able to create. That pushed us to
Mhm.
create online courses. So I would say in the face of challenge, that's where creativity
Mhm.
comes into play, because you have to find a way
Mhm.
to make it work. You know what I mean? I just think part of our problem was we were looking at the wrong things as challenges. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think we were looking at wearing a mask to save lives and protect each other as a challenge, versus looking at how do we do things so that we can connect better as a people. What can we do? What can we create to keep people safe? In that sense. So
Mhm.
I think during times of challenge, we can be more creative, but I just feel like, yeah, our connectivity using social media and streaming, that came alive. But for me, the only other thing that I see that we did is, what, let's buck against the system.
So you're right. We certainly pushed technology to facilitate what we needed to do in a lot of ways. I do think one of the other things that kind of um, came out was we have a lot more people that are entrepreneurial, that have found ways to do things, to pursue their real interest and their things that they love doing. I think that has been a real benefit. I mean, you know, I give so many people so much credit. I mean, there's so many things that people are doing, and I'm amazed. I
Yeah.
mean, totally amazed. So, not that we want to have another pandemic for that to happen again, but I mean,
Uh-uh.
it really put everybody in a different scenario to sit there and go, okay, my job closed. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't always, well, I'm going to stay at home and see what the government's going to send me, you know? So that was, I think that's been such a thing that just blossomed, that really, really took off. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that entrepreneur spirit took over.
mhm.
It's funny because we me and the group, we talk about it. I said, if everybody's creating their own business, right, and everybody is doing it, and no one wants to work for anyone else because they want to start their own business, I asked a question. So, what businesses go out of business?
Mm.
Mm.
I don't know, but it seems like some of them are just making so much more money. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I mean, but
we've been in a pandemic and some people are really, really struggling and having a hard time. But the folks that are the rich, the 1%, they're like the ultimate 1% now. It's ridiculous how much they've made during
right,
this
but
whole
see, because they're not in a lot of their business is not in service. You know
Mm.
yeah,
what I
no.
mean? It's in technology and so forth and so on. And that's
Mhm.
really where I'm going at. If everyone becomes a chief and you have no what we would call Indians, right? No one wants to work for anyone because everybody wants their own business, right? There's certain businesses that can't work without someone willing to work
Thank
for
you.
them.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like
true.
restaurants start going out of business because you
Mhm.
can't find anyone to work. Because if a restaurant is going to be successful, you can't have all owners. Some people have to
Somebody
be
gotta wait. The
to
people
be
wait on the people and cook
to
and
be employees, right?
yeah.
So as we go forward and everyone wants to start their own business, what you're going to find is a lot of stable businesses that used to be stable now start closing. You know what I mean? So you might
Mm-hmm.
find more and more locally owned restaurants closing. Because lack of employees and so forth and so on. So Lindy's Lindy's over by off of North Monroe by
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A closed. Chick-fil-A bought that
Oh,
property.
wow.
Lindy's
Right.
on what?
Lindy's on North Monroe.
I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you'll
So
find those.
Chick-fil-A trying to expand that driveway,
Well, I
that
don't know.
drive-through. That's what
Listen.
they trying to do.
Well, listen. Hey, I can't say nothing about that. Chick-fil-A ain't making them go out of business. So
But
so
no,
but
that's
so with that being said, that's the other thing we look at too, is when you start looking at businesses during this time, what type of businesses are going to be more successful? You
Hmm.
know, what type of businesses will thrive during this time versus traditional businesses that used to thrive that won't, you know what I'm saying? So those
Hmm.
are things too. When you have something like this happen, you see a shifting in dynamics of what businesses will be more successful and what business won't. Everyone is trying to do something online where they can, be an Instagram star or whatever. So
yeah. Stay at home and work.
yeah,
Yeah. Which work for some people and don't work for others.
no, I don't. It
Because some
don't.
people ain't do none of their work while they was at home.
I can I can name names, but I'm gonna go on and let them be great.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Kim.
I'm gonna let them be great.
Kim,
Well,
you the
she said she
parent
a
snitch. You
snitch now.
snitch on the children. You
I
don't
snitch.
snitch on the grown folks.
I who?
Young kids, man.
I don't discriminate. You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm getting in trouble with the birthday girl. I love y'all, but I gotta go. I got a 29-year-old today, so we got to
Oh,
go do picture ops.
Well, tell her we
Oh,
said happy
congratulations.
All
birthday
right,
and
you're welcome.
thank you.
All
Tell
right,
them
and
happy birthday.
I am. She just, Mama, you supposed to be in here. I thought I was the mama, but apparently I'm not. So I'll talk to you all later.
all righty.
All right,
Okay.
bye.
All right,
All right, bye
thanks.
bye.
Not even dirty.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so it's this it has definitely been an interesting 2 years.
Hmm.
And so now the reason why we're not talking about it as much is that so, because media plays a whole big old part in a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
So is that to make us, be more comfortable about getting back to normal and not wearing our masks and all of that versus when we were first like every 5 minutes somebody was saying something about the pandemic and the like like the marathon like the Jerry Lewis telethon when they
Hmm.
roll the numbers every so often it was like that. I'm like, y'all telling us
Hmm.
these numbers, and now we don't know nothing unless we ask or go digging for it.
Right.
And you got to dig. Yeah, they don't want the information available, and they really want to force our attention onto something else. Um, be, and quite frankly, the war in Ukraine
I
is
was just thinking it.
top billing. That has captured everybody's
Sure.
attention and emotions and everything else. So, and the fact that people really aren't dying as much of COVID, you're not hearing about the really serious cases and the, portable morgues, the refrigerated trucks outside hospitals. That's not the situation we're facing right now. So it's kind of like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And then it's off to that next crisis, that next issue.
Yeah. And I want to say this too. And the reason you don't hear about the refrigerated mortgage, we don't have that, is because we have more and more people that have gotten vaccinated. I don't want people to think that, oh, the virus is just weakening and it's not real. And no, 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 no. COVID is still a monster. But
Hmm.
because of over time, the number of individuals that we've gotten vaccinated over time, that has really shifted on how the effects of COVID appear. Uh, uh, um, we just really gotta shift, look at that. And so The other thing too is like you were saying with media. Media is so powerful, even when it's wrong. You know what I mean? Even when they're giving bad information, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, the we just the media is so powerful. And I was thinking about this because when you said the war in Ukraine, I was thinking about that because
Mhm.
even how they portray the refugees with Ukraine and then the refugees from a few years earlier,
Mhm.
one way they look at it and they show where everybody just calm and Ukraine is not, you know what I mean, and everybody's getting helped. And then the other one they show like it was a panic and people are just, and so
Mhm.
how media portrays it, that's how overall how people begin to receive it. You know what I mean, and look at it and picture it. It's almost like how I was talking to my son. He has a friend that's from Africa, and we were just talking about how the perception in America, we're given a perception that everybody in Africa is still living in huts, you know, no major cities, no running water. Everywhere you go, you need a well, which is not the case. You know what I mean? But that's
Mhm.
the way they project it. Are there some areas like that? Yes. But is it everywhere like that? No. You follow what I'm saying? And Black Americans are portrayed to them in a way of, oh, the lazy, all thugs, gangsters. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the media portrayal. And so we're seeing a perfect picture of it now. When number 45 was in office, it was all about the virus, right? When Biden got in office and he started doing things to say, hey, we're going to fight this, media says, let's change the narrative and let's focus on something else. Because when you think about it, news to the media is negative.
Mm.
It's if you think about it, like if you watch the 6:30 news, whatever, nightly news, they always end with one thing positive. All the other news up until that point
So very true.
is
It's
negative.
it's a problem. Something happened. Somebody got blown up. Somebody got shot, and this happened here, and this. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So
But
when you
now
have
ending with something good make for good TV. Keep you coming back.
So I need them to start with something good, put something good in the middle, and then end with something good.
No, you just remember that happy feel good story at the end. You like, oh, I'm gonna watch them tomorrow.
yeah, so I mean, so you have a very good point when you ask, about COVID and what's going on with COVID because people are still dying. They're just
Mhm.
not dying at the same rate, but it's not because of it just went away,
Mhm.
but people who felt the need to get vaccinated got vaccinated. We got more and more children getting vaccinated. Now, don't get it twisted. There's also money involved. Money is not in the cure. Money's in the treatment.
Yeah,
Mm.
yep.
So don't get it twisted. Pfizer don't want COVID to go away.
They making
Well,
money.
that's a whole nother kitchen talk. A whole nother kitchen talk. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, Pfizer, Moderna, like, thank you, COVID.
Yeah, the economics of COVID. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
economics of
cause
COVID.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's some good research. I don't know who need a dissertation, but that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Not me,
Mhm.
because I'm not going back to school. Um, I can't do it. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight, hanging out. Marvin is pretty much an official co-host at this point. I don't know, I'm gonna have to put him on the payroll, I think. If I had one.
Right, right. Hey, I guess listen here. You just give me two times what you're giving everybody else, right?
Add that to your wish list, Lisa.
2 times 0.
Well, if that's the case, I might as well just, go ahead and make it a cool million more times than what I'm getting.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So, thank you all so much. You guys are like the bestest. Anytime I call or text Tanya Tatum, she's like, "Oh, sure, just let me know." And it's so great. And I think we do still need to have this conversation until we can say COVID no longer exists, but it will probably be never really, right? Because I mean, we'll learn to, like we said in the beginning, we'll just have to learn how to live with it. And the operative word being live with it.
Yeah, we'll check in when it's time flu season next year and see what's happening.
Oh,
Right.
because now so last year flu season, it was the mix. It was the flu run, or what were they calling it? Where they had the flu and corona.
Oh
Well,
yeah, some people have both.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think so. That's what you're going to see from now on. When you get your flu shot, it's going to be a flu and COVID.
and see, I don't get a flu shot. So
We'll
now
have
I
to talk
gotta
about
start
this
getting a flu
sometime.
shot. Y'all is killing me with these shots.
We ain't killing you. Don't speak that.
I'm just saying. No, you're not killing me, but I'm not getting all them shots now.
It's good
I
for
just,
you once a year.
I just stay home during flu season.
Hey, listen.
Wear
A
my
lot of
mask on. I'm gonna wear my mask during flu season.
Hey, listen. Well, a lot of jobs now, like for example, state jobs. If they were honest, they actually save more money with people working from home.
Hmm.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly if people doing their work.
Well, a lot of people that
But
I know
some
that
people was not doing their work.
Well, yeah, you got some people, but again, that's not everybody. A lot
No,
of
it's
people that
not
I know,
everybody.
a lot of people that I know, they said they worked harder working from home
Hmm.
because when they would take a break, they would take a break, grab something, and keep working
Hmm.
versus being actually at the office where you leave for lunch. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So some people I know, they were actually getting more done. You know, so
Yeah,
it's
I was
it's
working
a
harder
testament
from
to
home too, picking up the slack from people not working.
well,
I'm just saying.
hamburger. Hey, like Rose said earlier, that's dealing with leadership. Like, hey, listen,
Yeah,
that leadership
yeah,
need to deal with that.
because the job has to be done.
Because it had to
Yeah.
be done. And if
Yeah,
I'm paying you to do a job and you're not doing the job, and I got to give it to somebody else, then I don't need you to do that job.
Yep.
Now the
absolutely.
other side to that too, though, is if you're doing your job and you're doing their job, then I give their job to you. But now, does that mean I pay you more?
Oh yeah, you gonna pay
Yeah.
me some more.
Because, because well, no,
That's the
I
way it's
mean
supposed to work.
that's the way it's supposed to work, but that's not the way it always works.
No.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
way it's gonna work for me if it
Okay.
becomes my responsibility.
Okay. Well, she must not be working on the hill.
I was going to say, she's not working at FAMU.
You don't
Okay.
work for fan. You talking all that trash. Let me know how that go.
Right.
Let me know how that go.
Right. Y'all hear me right. I'm still gonna be up there grinding just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then listen, and then I ain't gonna say nothing. But then when you leave, and then they delegate, and then they give your job to 3 different people.
Uh-huh.
Well, on that note, because Marvin, what you're not gonna do is talk about my alma mater like that.
Hey, dog, it's mine too, and I
I
love her.
know.
I love her, but I'm just saying, as they
I
say,
know.
I'm just keeping it real.
I know. I know. I know. I know. That and that is a whole nother kitchen talk too. So it has been a wonderful conversation. I appreciate y'all so much. Listen, if you are watching us on YouTube, hit the like button so you will never miss another show. If you no, that is the subscribe button on YouTube. See,
Right.
Marvin got me all turned around. If you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. And then also, you know what? Sharing is caring. So let people know that you watched a great show tonight on Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
And that is what they do. We will see you guys back here next week. Thank you so much, Tanya Tatum, for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate you so much. And we're gonna keep the conversation going until we all the way out the tunnel.
Right.
And then I think we still gonna talk about it even then, because y'all in these annual shots. I don't know. I don't know.
Just
But
don't look at the
anyway.
needle.
Yeah, no. So anyway, we thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the conversation. Appreciate you so much. And we will see you guys next Thursday, 9 o'clock. Good night, good night, good night, good
Thank
night,
you.
good night.
Bye.